Bearcats. Before we get out of here, still have some time on the show. I want to talk about UC basketball. Okay, so they played Georgia, right? And, Georgia, SEC team, they're not a top team in college basketball by any stretch. They're not, a tournament team. I probably wouldn't say they're a tournament team. We'll see. It's obviously still very early here at this point. But, UC had the embarrassing game that they lost to Eastern Michigan at home, got embarrassed in the crosstown shootout. And, Wes's seat has gotten really, really hot. And I think part of the reason, Wes's seat is so hot is just because of the effort. We talked about that not being an issue for the Cincinnati Bengals, really, but I think for the Cincinnati Bearcats, the effort has been horrible. And it was, if you watch the end of that Georgia game, it was not good at all. And I just don't understand their philosophy. Because if you need to give credit to Wes for one thing, it's he can recruit, right? I mean, he's had talented players on his team, but it has not translated to wins at all for this team. And he's got like 40 million assistant coaches there with him. And you would think they'd be able to run some offense with all those brains put together with Wes Miller as well, and they can't run offense at all. Their offense is they'll hang out around the perimeter, kind of stare at each other, and then look up at the shot clock and say, oh, I guess we need to chuck a three, and then misfire on the three. The Cincinnati Bearcats love the three-point shot, and they don't know how to make the three-point shot. They shot sub 30% from three again in this game. And, Georgia wasn't shooting it well at all early, and there's a lot of stats if you kind of go down the list about it's like, well, Georgia, they're not shooting the ball particularly well. They're not rebounding particularly well. You would think Cincinnati has a good chance to win this game. Ultimately, it ends up being a blowout in favor of the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, coming into the year, I thought it was a make or break as far as Wes needing to make the tournament. This roster that he has, I understand it's hard to believe, especially when you watch them shoot free throws and they cannot make a singular free throw, it seems like. But this roster is talented enough to be a tournament team, and they don't even look close to being a tournament team here for Wes Miller. So I'm very confused as to, they don't run offense, right? Like, what do you guys do at practice? Do you just shoot, right? Do you just hang out, play horse, right? Play a little knockout maybe at the free throw line because they run no offense. They don't draw up anything for any of their players, and Wes doesn't get any matchups for any of his guys either, right? He just kind of relies on hopefully making some threes, and then hopefully some guys can win some one-on-one matchups and get to the rim. That's literally all he does, and it's really that to me. And I'm not a basketball nerd by any stretch, but you can watch them and say, okay, these other teams are running offense. You guys don't run offense. You just hang out there on that side. And they totally quit. The spread was 8.5, and then, UC got out to a big lead early in the game, which was promising. Georgia closed the distance. Boom, it's tied at halftime, and many Bearcat fans kind of knew there in that moment that, okay, they're in real serious trouble here. And they were able to hang within like 5 to 8 points there for a little bit in the second half. Then ultimately at the end, they kind of just gave up. And Georgia went on a run. Shots started falling. They were getting to the rim. Crowd was back on their side, and UC just didn't have any fight there. A couple of noteworthy things. One, if Bob Miller is not playing for them, they really don't have a chance, and they don't even have much of a chance with him. Okay, so, he had the technical foul, which is huge, right? In college, you have 5 fouls, right? And if you get a technical foul, that factors into that. So it was a huge foul, and then Baba's not playing. And they had to, play him in day late with lots of fouls, which isn't ideal, but they didn't have a choice. Baba was nothing egregious, but he was kind of getting into it with an official. And if you do that at the college level, you're going to get teed up. And that's what happened. And when you're your best player and you get teed up, when you're losing a game, you're in serious, serious trouble. And he had to go to the bench, and, it wasn't good for Cincinnati. And they're not good at all without Baba Miller out there. Abayev. I get he's a freshman, but when you get a recruit like that, you expect him to come in and do some really good things. He's shown promise on the offensive end, but defensively he's not good at all. And you saw Xavier just basically attack him there in the second half of that game. Other teams are starting to understand that, okay, if Abayev's out there, we'll just go right at him because he doesn't know how to defend. And, he's made some shots for him this year, but really hasn't shot the ball well enough, in my opinion, for the Cincinnati Bearcats. And, people talked about him as being like a potential first-round pick. I don't see that at all here at this point. You can see some of the talents there, but he's got to come back to school. And we'll see ultimately if that is in Cincinnati or somewhere else. Celestine kind of kept him in the game with his shooting. That was really the only thing that kept him in the game. I guess that's promising, seeing him shoot the ball a little bit better, the Baylor transfer. So that was nice to see some shots go in from the perimeter. But besides him, Nobody shot the ball well. Day Thomas didn't make a three. We talked about this year kind of hoping that Day would have more of a different role. They need Day to score, and they need Day to be great. And ultimately that has not happened for this team here. And then Kirk Risa continues to not shoot the ball well at all. And, again, I don't if you have all your guys on your team and they don't shoot the ball well, maybe run some offense and try to draw something up and get to the rim, right? Set some screens, be a little bit creative, and not just sit around the three-point line and stare at each other and chuck up a three at the end of the shot clock, which is kind of Wes's approach here. And, his seat is incredibly hot. I don't see the benefit of firing a guy mid-year, especially before conference play. But if this thing is continuously ugly throughout the Big 12 and, they're kind of eliminated early on from, being a tournament team, I think he kind of got to move off, right? I was excited when the Bearcats hired Wes Miller. Thought there was promise. Again, he recruits well, right? And maybe that'll buy him another year. But I don't know. Because he can't run offense. He can't translate it to anything. And now his team's giving up a little bit on him. We'll see if that continues. I get it's tough, when it's okay, you definitely lost the game. Let's play super hard to the end. It's difficult to do that. That's just kind of the reality of the situation. But it's also an indictment on the coach, right? You got to want to go out there and compete for your coach. And, does it mean putting different bodies out there that are going to go out there and compete? Maybe. But if you watch the end of that game, they just mailed it in. And, completely opposite of how they started the game. They started the game with their hair on fire, and that was great to see. But they weren't able to sustain it over the course of a ball game, and I think they kind of realized early on in the second half, we're not going to win this. And you kind of saw the effort go downhill from there. So they got lots of issues. Mustafa Cham is a guy that should be a really good player for you, right? He's a big guy. He can be physical, right? I think he's more physical than Bandego was for a couple of years, right? But he hasn't been good enough. They have size matchups each and every game, and they don't take advantage of them. Cham doesn't have the ability to take advantage of them, and they don't even really get the ball into the low post. Talked about that all through the Xavier game. It's get the ball inside, right? Let these guys have an opportunity to make a play at the rim. Use your advantages. They didn't do that in the game. As I mentioned, Crease has got to shoot the ball better. They got to defend better, right? They got to take care of the basketball better. They got to make their free throws, right? I get it's college and not NBA, but if you go to the free throw line, you should feel decent about your team making free throws. This UC Bearcat team can't make free throws, right? And Buck Harris, I love his effort and I love his athleticism, but he doesn't give you – he can't shoot the ball at all. He can't make a free throw. And sometimes when he's driving, he's wild and out of control, driving down the lane. Right, so he's really athletic and he's great on defense, but from an offensive perspective, Sincere Harris is kind of a liability, which I didn't really expect that to be the case for Cincinnati. I thought he was going to at least be able to show some promise on the offensive side. So they've got a lot of issues. I don't know if there's a different lineup that they need to try. They just need their players that are good recruits and that have a lot of talent to play better basketball, right? And they need their coach to put them in some positions to succeed, get some easy baskets. When is UC drew something up where it's that was an easy basket. That was good coaching right there. That was good execution. You haven't seen that at all throughout the course of the year, and ultimately that's embarrassing for the Bearcats. It's an indictment on their head coach, and we'll see if that gets fixed going forward. But the Big 12, they can play basketball in the Big 12 conference, and going into conference play, if you're the Cincinnati Bearcats, it does not look good whatsoever. And Wes very much coaching for his job. He needs to be very careful about what he says after the game. I get he's very frustrated, as he should be. But, at some point he's got to – I don't know. It's funny because, when Zach talks, people get mad about Zach Taylor talking. But his tone is totally different, and he's more understanding with, okay, this isn't acceptable. Whereas Wes, you hear him talk, and it's just I don't know. I don't like the vibe he's giving off, right? I don't like the vibe he's getting off. And it's kind of a just excuse after excuse after excuse for Wes Miller. And then he'll say he's not in the excuse business, which is well, then why are you making excuses? So, I don't know. I just have a bit of a different energy for how I receive those post-game comments, because you got coaches that are not living up to the expectations, that are coaching for their jobs, and I definitely don't think Wes Miller is handling it as well as he should. We'll see if ultimately UC makes a change, but lots of pressure on the Bearcats going into conference play. This is a team that, again, on paper, we keep saying it, is a very talented team. And they have not been able to do anything with it. And unfortunately, it's kind of a recurring theme here in the Wes Miller era. And when you lose to Xavier like that, when you're the clear better team, there's a portion of the fan base that's going to be out on you regardless of what happens, and rightfully so. It's a huge game, and Wes has not performed well in that game at all, and we'll see if ultimately he can fix that or not, but we'll see if he has an opportunity to fix it or not going forward as well.